If you learned to drive before 1954, the stop sign you stopped at wasn't red. It was yellow. And the color red, the one we now associate with stop everywhere from traffic lights to brake lights to danger tape, was actually the rejected option. Twice. Today, I'm going to show you how a Detroit cop with a piece of plywood accidentally invented one of the most recognized shapes on Earth, and why it took traffic engineers 40 years to agree on a color that seems completely obvious now. 1915, Detroit. Police Sergeant Harry Jackson is directing traffic at a blind intersection, and he's sick of it. So he grabs a rectangular piece of plywood, saws the corners off to make it look different from anything else on the street, paints "stop" on it, and props it up. No octagon yet, no red, just a guy solving his own headache. But other officers noticed it worked, word spread, and by 1915 the whole state of Michigan had adopted his idea. One tired cop had just started a chain reaction that would take decades to finish. Here's the problem. Every city built its own version. Some square, some round, some white, some yellow, some with black letters, some with red. Drive across a state line in the 1910s and you had no idea what you were even looking at. Sound familiar? So in 1922, a group of state highway officials sits down to fix this. Their solution is genuinely clever. Assign a shape to every danger level. Circles for the most extreme hazard, railroad crossings, and for the second highest level of danger, an 8-sided shape nobody uses for anything else, the octagon. Here's the detail most people miss. The octagon wasn't just chosen to look distinct from the front. It was chosen so a driver could recognize it from the back, in silhouette, at night, with no light shining on it, meaning even the driver crossing your path could tell that car has a stop sign before you even said a word. Now here's the part that surprises people. Engineers in 1922 already wanted red. Traffic lights invented a decade earlier already used red for stop. It made total sense to match them. There was just one problem. Red paint and dye in the 1920s faded badly. Within a year or two of sun exposure, a red stop sign could bleach down to a dull pink, practically invisible at dusk, which defeats the entire point of the sign. Yellow, on the other hand, stayed bright day or night and was cheap to produce. So in 1935, when the U.S. published its first ever official traffic sign manual, the stop sign became law. Yellow background, black letters, octagon shape. Not red, not because anyone liked yellow better, because red technology simply wasn't good enough yet. And that's how it stayed for nearly 20 years. Through the Great Depression, through World War II, every American stop sign a dull mustard yellow, waiting on a chemistry problem nobody outside the sign industry even knew existed. The fix finally came from an unlikely place: porcelain enamel coating technology, refined in the post-war manufacturing boom. By the early 1950s, manufacturers could finally produce a red that held its color through years of sun, rain, and snow without fading to pink. In 1954, the color changed for good. Red background, white letters. The version every American driver has known ever since. It wasn't a style choice. It was 30 years of engineers finally getting the tool they'd wanted since 1922. And it solved something bigger than visibility. Now red meant stop everywhere. The light, the sign, your brake lights, even a red flag on a construction site. One color, one universal instruction, no matter what shape was delivering the message. The idea worked so well it went global. By 1968, an international road treaty recommended the red octagon worldwide. Today it's standard from Canada to Brazil to South Korea, with one famous holdout, Japan, which still uses an inverted red triangle instead. So if you're old enough to remember yellow stop signs, you're not misremembering. You watched in real time the end of a 19-year compromise that started with paint that couldn't survive a summer. It's easy to look at something like a stop sign and assume it was always obvious, always inevitable, but almost nothing about it was inevitable. Not the shape, not the color, not even the idea that strangers on the road should follow the same rule at all. One cop with a saw and a piece of plywood, one color the world had to wait 30 years to afford, and now it's the most obeyed piece of advice on the planet, ignored by pretty much nobody, understood by everyone in every language, without a single word needing to be read. If you like digging into the hidden history behind something you see every single day, subscribe, hit the bell, because it turns out the most ordinary objects around us usually have the wildest stories.